Small businesses face a ton of challenges. Reselling on eBay is a small business that is no different. You face a lot of challenges. And if you are new to this, sometimes those challenges take people completely out of the game. It disrupts their business to the point that they don't recover. And a lot of times this happens because the challenges are emotionally draining. They're discouraging, and they're discouraging to the point that we give up on having the business. What I want to do in this video is give you a few tools, a few things that you can do to fight that and build a better and stronger business. So let's dive in. There are some common things that disrupt us, that discourage us, that knock us off balance when we first get into this. One of the most common ones is that profits are less than what you thought they were going to be. If all of your knowledge has come from social media, you're going to have a skewed perspective of how much profit there is. It looks like everybody else is buying $1 items and selling them for 100. It doesn't matter how much shipping cost if you got 100 times your money. It doesn't matter at all. And there's a reality to it that people post the best stuff on social media. They're not posting a lot of the fails. So when you first dive into this, how much money you make can seem a lot different than when your cha-ching starts going off. And another one that gets kind of passed over too often is how much time this takes. I've seen a lot of people are like, oh, I listed 50 items yesterday. Well, not me. I don't have a clue how they're doing that. And if that's what you're wanting to do, this is the wrong channel. Like for me, we list 5 to 10 items a day. Reselling on eBay takes a lot of time between sourcing and photographing and listing and customer questions and all of those kind of things. It can be daunting how much time eBay takes. And for some new resellers, that just knocks them off their feet to where they can't do it or don't want to do it or can't keep up with it because it's overwhelming. And one of the other ones that is perhaps the most discouraging is returns and feedback. And you get something that's just ugly and unwarranted. And those kind of things really do knock us off our feet. All of those things together are parts of the business that even if somebody told you, you can't know until you do it. But there are some things that you can do to make sure you're ready for those things when they happen. And I want to talk about those right now. First, and this is the most important one, not going to make you wait. The most important thing when you're running a small business is to practice some self-care. Reselling, you're sitting in a chair a lot of times, you're not eating good, you're grabbing whatever you can, and it's hard. It's hard on your body physically, and you need to get up and move. If you don't do that, if you don't take care of you, you can't take care of the business. And we hear this kind of stuff all the time, but it gets passed over, and I don't think it can be said enough. The most important component of your business isn't having a great camera. It's not having a good scale. It's not having an awesome label printer. The most important component in your business is you. And if you don't take care of that, your business has no chance. First and foremost, you have to take care of you. You've got to try and get some sleep. Turn that cha-ching off at night so that you can get some sleep. And try to eat good and try to get up every once in a while and move around. All of those things are going to go a long way towards you having a successful business. So let's move on to number 2. There will be a reason that you decided to have a business. For most of the people that I talk to, they didn't get into reselling because they want to be rich. If you did, there's no free money here. I don't know of anybody that's just getting free money. This job takes a lot of work. So why did you get into it? If you can remember why you got into it, when you run into obstacles, it makes those a lot easier to deal with. For example, Melody and I, we needed some flexibility of time. I spent my whole life as a school superintendent and I had no flexibility of time. Our parents are older. We're getting older. We want to spend some time together. We want to go do some things and travel. Our business is built around that. It's built around us having enough income to provide for all of the things that we have to have and some of the things that we want. And what we want most of all is control over our time. Even if we choose to spend that time building the business, we can choose when we need to take a break from that. So remembering why you decided to do this, it'll go a long way towards overcoming that first person that leaves you an ugly feedback. Pretty soon, that one feedback doesn't have a massive impact on your overall business. Let's move on to number 3. When you are a reseller, and if you haven't experienced this, you will, you source and you photograph and you list all those things I talked about before. But for most of us, we're doing that alone. Even with Melody and I, a lot of times I'm working upstairs and she's working downstairs. I'm very fortunate that if something goes wrong, I have some support here. I have Melody here and vice versa. But this can be a very lonely business. It can be a very lonely job. And it's important to seek out support so that you have somebody to talk to when none of your pictures saved to the SD card or they just didn't work. Every single one of them was fuzzy. You have somebody who understands and can lift you up when you need lifting up. Having a support system in place is critically important all the way back to number 1 for taking care of yourself. A support system for that is truly, truly important. Knowing that, let's move on to number 4. I want you to be proactive. And instead of just using that clutch word, let me tell you what that means. Last night, I sold a set of 3 vintage sweatshirts, still in the original packaging. Awesome, great sale, tons of money, great profit, and I couldn't find them. What should have taken me 1 minute took me an hour and a half. I did finally find them, but that's discouraging. It is so discouraging when something is just gone. And in this situation, I know why it was gone. I redid some of my tubs and I couldn't find it. And even at the time, I thought, I should write this down. I should write down what I'm doing. And I planned on it and I didn't do it. Instead of just being discouraged and quitting, because trust me, about an hour into it, you start thinking about quitting. Instead of quitting, you're better off to be proactive. What can I do to keep that from happening again? I got a message one time from a guy that was super upset because when he got his jersey from me, it still had the thrift store price tag on it. Who's that on? I can't point fingers at anybody other than me. The reality of it is how can I keep that from happening? That can't happen. And so be proactive. Things are going to come up. You're going to miss on how much something costs to ship. What can you do to keep that from happening? You're not going to be able to find something. How can you keep that from happening? Sure, we learn from each other and we learn from each other's mistakes, but the best teacher is necessity. And at some point, it's going to be on you, just like it's on me. And then what can you do? Instead of being discouraged, I'm going to make sure it doesn't happen again. I'm going to put things in place to correct that. So let's move on to number 5. Number 5 is uncomfortable. Number 5 gets missed, it gets glossed over, and it's one of the ones that when people talk about it, like it's an eye-rolling moment for some of them, and that is celebrating your success. We're so uncomfortable with patting ourselves on the back. Like, it's okay to be proud of what you've accomplished. I love it when I'm reading my comments on YouTube and somebody's like, I just listed my first item today. Yeah, that's what I want to see. I just started my first auction. I have one of my viewers is an 82-year-old woman, and she sent me a note and said, I learned how to do this on my own, and I have stuff listed in my store, and I'm getting ready to ship stuff out. Pat yourself on the back, because we're all good at beating ourselves up when it doesn't go well. But if we learn how to pat ourselves on the back to celebrate the successes when they come, it lessens the impact emotionally when it didn't go exactly how we wanted it to go. And I think that's really, really important, because there's a lot of times in your life the world around you is going to forget to pat you on the back. Don't be afraid to celebrate your own success. When you have a business, there's going to be things that come up that discourage us. I've been in business now long enough that when those things come up, I have all these other things in place. I already know what I'm doing, where I'm going, who's going with me, And I know to try and take care of me and to not get discouraged and to be positive. But if you're just starting out, those things might seem fleeting. They might seem hard to grasp. And that's why it's important that you do all of these on purpose. Make sure your business moves forward on purpose. I'm doing this. I believe in the people that are watching this. There's something that has driven you to where you're like, I want my own business. And I believe that you can do that. And I think taking care of this here is what makes all those other things work. I appreciate you guys being here so much. And I'm hoping that I will see you on the next one. Bye.